Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the newest acquisitions for the Arizona Cardinals. Two new wide receivers. Yep, who would have figured? Let's go and dive right into exactly who they are and how they can help the Arizona Cardinals in 2025. Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. And just because it's the offseason doesn't mean we're stopping making content for the Arizona Cardinals. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. All right, everybody, let's go and dive right into it. Let's talk about the two newest acquisitions for the Arizona Cardinals that we actually ended up getting this word yesterday, but I wanted to kind of do a little bit of research on these guys and kind of really figure out how impactful they're going to be for the Cardinals in the 2025 season. So if you guys did not see the tweet from the official Arizona Cardinals Twitter page or X page, they ended up coming out and saying that the Arizona Cardinals have signed Tristan Jackson and Quez Watkins to future contracts for the 2025 season. Now, when I originally saw these two names, I'm not going to lie to you, Tristan Jackson wasn't a guy that I really knew too much about, but Quez Watkins on the other side was a guy that I'm like, okay, let's take a look to see what he can do for the Arizona Cardinals heading into the 2025 season, right? Now, one thing I want to acknowledge is I love the fact that the Cardinals are looking any which way to try to upgrade a position on this roster. Now, this is what I mean. When you're talking about the draft or you're talking about this offseason, most people are saying in their minds, the Cardinals need to upgrade the trenches, the defensive line, as well as the offensive line, right? We need to find a future for those specific positions. And it's true, but I love the fact that the Cardinals are also looking to see if they can upgrade that wide receiving core. The way that the Arizona Cardinals wide receiving core ended up finishing off the season, you got Marvin Harrison Jr., your wide receiver number one, had 62 receptions, 885 receiving yards, and then 8 touchdowns. Michael Wilson, which is supposed to be your number two wide receiver, 47 receptions, 548 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. And then you got Greg Dortch, which was supposed to be your main number three, and of course, at the end, we kind of saw a little bit more of Zay Jones, but Greg Dortch is supposed to be like your number three guy, right? / slot guy. He had 37 receptions, 342 yards, and then 3 touchdowns. And although we can tell ourselves this is a run-heavy scheme, you still need to have a little bit more production in terms of being able to get weapons for your franchise quarterback to, right, obviously deliver the ball to. The Cardinals are probably seeing a spot where they can potentially improve in bringing in maybe more depth, or maybe even a guy that's going to fight, in training camp for a specific position moving forward, right? Because Greg Dortch is one of those guys that we don't know if he's going to come back. He is set to be, I believe, an unrestricted free agent in this coming offseason. And then Michael Wilson still under his rookie deal right now. So a lot of questions to be answered in that weaponry room with the wide receiving core. So I'm glad that Monty Ossenfort is looking and leaving no stone unturned, right? So now let's dive right into Tristan Jackson as well as Quez Watkins. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, Tristan Jackson is a guy that I really don't know too much about. 26 years old, seems like he went undrafted to the Los Angeles Rams, spent some time with the Minnesota Vikings from 2021 to 2024, and it seemed like he was actually on their active roster, but he didn't really have very much, production, I guess the best way to describe it. He played in 7 games in 2023, and he had 2 receptions, 4 targets, 9 yards. That's it. That's it. That's the main production we're seeing from Tristan Jackson. Now, obviously, it just depends on opportunity, right? Now, I think we can all agree that the wide receiving core for the Minnesota Vikings, with obviously Justin Jefferson and then Jordan Addison, they're going to be your number ones and number two, right? So there's probably going to be people fighting for that number 3 spot. And I don't know. Maybe he just didn't get an opportunity, but it seems like in college he went to Michigan State and then Syracuse. Michigan State in 2016 and 2017, he really didn't do very much. His most productive year was probably in 2017, and he had 143 yards. It's right, nothing too crazy there, right? In 2019 and in 2018, he spent 2 years with Syracuse, and in 2019 is probably his most productive year. Now, he had over 1,000 yards. It was actually 1,023 yards to be very specific, and 11 touchdowns. So we're talking about a guy that's obviously 6'1", 191 pounds. Maybe the Cardinals are looking for that main guy in the slot that's going to be a bigger target, right? Because we know Greg Dortch was that number 1 guy for the Cardinals, but he's 5'7". Maybe the Cardinals are looking into a direction where we're trying to get taller wide receivers to, for Kyler Murray to potentially be able to see, but not just taller wide receivers, guys that can, create separations, guys that can, take the top off of a defense, right? Now, like I said, don't really know too much about Tristan Jackson. Now let's move on over to the next guy here that the Arizona Cardinals ended up signing to a future deal in 2025, and that's going to be none other than Quez Watkins. Now, when you're looking at both these guys, Quez as well as Trishton, it seems like they are looking for a very specific type of player, right? Taller, plays the slot, can take the top off of a defense. So that seems to be the direction that the Cardinals might want to go on. So right now, Quez Watkins, 6 foot, 193 pounds, 26 years old. He was actually drafted in the 6th round to the Philadelphia Eagles, the 200 overall pick. So overall, when you're looking at both these guys, Quez Watkins definitely has more of a resume when it comes down to the NFL level. He actually spent some time here with the Philadelphia Eagles from 2020 all the way to 2023. Now in 2024, he did spend some time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he was more of a practice squad type of guy. Now let's look into the numbers here from Quez Watkins and what he can actually, accomplish for the Arizona Cardinals. Like stats overall, I mean, he's pretty productive. His best year was probably in 2021 when he had 17 games played, 43 receptions, 62 targets, 647 yards, and then 1 touchdown. In 2022, he had 17 games played, 33 receptions, 51 targets, 354 yards, and 3 touchdowns then, right? And in 2023, it seemed like his either maybe got injured because he only played 9 games here in 2023. So production went down. And maybe after his rookie deal, the Philadelphia Eagles decided just to maybe just not re-sign him. Pittsburgh Steelers got a hold of him, put him on the practice squad, and then the Cardinals are now finding his way here, right? But now when you're taking a look at the acquisition here from Quez Watkins, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I really do like this signing. Talking about a guy that can be used in jet sweeps, talking about a guy that can be used in the slot. Now I think he's had some time in the outside as well, but for the Cardinals, we might use him more in the slot. Got a guy that can cause separation, got a guy that can go ahead and take the top off of a defense, a guy that can actually, be used as a speedster, right? A speedster. Like I said before, when he was drafted here in 2020, he actually ran a 4.35 in the combine before he got drafted to the Philadelphia Eagles in 2020. So, got a guy that's, has the tools that we don't have very much here on this roster. Because like we mentioned before, Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver number 1, but not a speedster, right? Michael Wilson kind of seems to be the same type of wide receiver as Marvin Harrison Jr. is. Now, in the slot, it was supposed to be Greg Dortch. He's set to be a free agent, as well as Zay Jones, which is a taller guy. He's set to be a free agent as well. But the thing with Zay Jones is he's actually a little older. He's had 8 years accumulated under his belt when it comes down to just, what he's done in the NFL. Maybe the Cardinals want to go a little taller and maybe a little younger when it comes down to, bringing these guys like Quez Watkins or maybe even a Tristan Jackson. Now, can they be productive here in 2025? Well, it just depends, right? It depends on what the Cardinals decide to do in free agency as well as in the draft. Can the Arizona Cardinals go after a wide receiver in the 1st round? There's some out there that are speculating about the idea of maybe the Cardinals going after a wide receiver, specifically only if the Cardinals go defensive heavy here in free agency and address that edge and maybe getting a dog interior guy, right? But the only 2 guys that I really like in the 1st round for the Cardinals to potentially go after is going to be Luther Burton or maybe even a Emeka Egbuka. Now, if the Cardinals don't go that route, 85 to 90%, I want the Cardinals to go edge or maybe interior defensive line because I feel like that is a big need. But if the Cardinals do go after a gem later on in the draft, this wide receiving class is not set to be one of the best out there, right? I mean, they've got some good people here and there, but the top 2 guys that I have my eye on, because let's be honest, we're not going to get the guy from Arizona. He's going to go top 5, top 10. He's not even in the range where the Cardinals are going to be, right? So if the Cardinals are looking for a slot guy, a guy's going to be able to give you, yak, that's probably going to be your Emeka Egbuka or maybe even a Luther Burton. Now, like I said before, if the Cardinals think that either Quez Watkins or maybe even Tristan Jackson can be those guys, hey, man, we've seen some production at least from Quez Watkins to say, hey, he can work out in the NFL. We're just going to have to provide him that opportunity to see what he can do, right? A lot of questions to be answered here heading into the 2025 season, but as of right now, they are the newest acquisitions for the Cardinals. 2 new wide receivers signing future contracts in 2025, one of them being Tristan Jackson and then the other one being Quez Watkins, former Philadelphia Eagles. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts overall on these 2 new signings? Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day and go Cardinals.